The gentleman from Louisiana is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And again, I want to thank my good friend Chairman Wolf for all the many years of service he's provided and the great work he's doing on this appropriation. My amendment simply reduces the Department of Justice's general legal account by $866,000, specifically targeting the Deputy Attorney General's office until the Attorney General enforces the Controlled Substances Act, as well as the Bank Secrecy Act. My amendment does not reduce the enforcement funding available to DOJ, but rather decreases available funding for the salaries of individuals who are delineating ways to evade federal law. Madam Chairman, it is with growing alarm that we see this administration selectively executing and enforcing federal law. The CSA sets forth 5 classifications or schedules for controlled substances. Marijuana, along with heroin and LSD, are Schedule I drugs without accepted medical purpose and which have a high potential for abuse. Smoking marijuana remains a federal offense, and growers and distributors could and should be prosecuted. Despite DOJ's responsibility to uphold the CSA as the law of the land, over the last few months the Department of Justice has issued several memos suggesting ways for states like Colorado and Washington to evade federal law and the federal law enforcement, and encouraging other states to follow suit with decriminalization and potentially legalization. Any Google search will tell you that the first of 8 federal priorities outlined in Deputy Attorney General James Cole's August 2013 is being run roughshod in Colorado. Kids are quickly gaining access to marijuana. News accounts from Colorado describe elementary children selling pot at school. In February this year, both the Department of Justice and the Department of Treasury outlined ways for banks and other financial institutions to circumvent federal law, in effect giving tacit approval for financially facilitating the marijuana industry. Madam Chairman, I don't have time to delve in all of the negative issues regarding health care and marijuana, but it is vitally important for my colleagues to remember that the scientific facts and recent studies all point to the fact that marijuana is highly addictive, is closely linked to altered brain development, schizophrenia, mental illness, heart complications, lower IQ, and impairs attention, judgment, and memory functions. I would like to close by reading the following statement from the Drug Enforcement Agency's DEA May 2014 booklet on the ugly truth about marijuana. Legalization of marijuana, no matter how it begins, will come at the expense of our children and public safety. It will create dependency and treatment issues and opens the door to use of other drugs, impaired health, delinquent behavior, and drug drivers. I think the DEA got it right. It's time for the rest of the Justice Department to do their job and enforce current U.S. law that recognizes marijuana's devastating impact on our children and society. I am hopeful that my amendment will encourage DOJ to take steps necessary to correct any misunderstanding regarding the federal enforcement of the CSA and the BSA. I now urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Louisiana yields back.
I would move to strike the last word.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Virginia rise?
Strike the requisite number of words.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
I support the gentleman's amendment. I just reading the dangers and consequences of marijuana abuse. What is happening to our country? I saw a report today showing in the Hill newspaper buyer's remorse on marijuana. The growers in Mexico are not growing marijuana now. They're going into the poppy because they're now doing it in Colorado. I cast the deciding vote against smoking on airplanes, and now we're encouraging or allowing people. I mean, it's just so I think the gentleman's right. And I have been disappointed in the Justice Department because, you know, we should follow the law. The law is the law, and I think the gentleman's right. You're seeing the skirting of the law. There's much more. We're going to have a big debate tomorrow, I guess, on this whole issue a little bit differently than this, but I think the gentleman's right. The law is the law, and the Justice Department should be seeking justice and enforce the law. If they don't like the law, they should come up here to Congress and change the law. Reasonable people can debate it and have differences. But I think the gentleman makes a very powerful point, and I strongly support the amendment. Yield back.